beautifiers, welcome back to another practice with myself. I hope everyone is feeling well, or if you're anything like me today, you're perhaps feeling the real sluggish struggle of January. I'm recording this in the third week of January. You might be watching this, I don't know, later in the year. You might be watching this, I don't know, August. All right, but I'm recording this in the third week of January, where typically things start to feel kind of tough, all right, where January just starts to feel long, all right, and yeah, we're kind of feeling that heaviness, all right? So I wanted to create a practice, of course, really honouring whatever phase we're in, whatever our energy is at. So if you are feeling that sluggishness, giving yourself that permission to, rather than fight against it and struggle against it, but actually soften into it instead, okay? All of our practices are about honouring whatever it is that we are bringing to the mat, even if we are experiencing something that we perhaps like a little bit less, and perhaps we're wishing that we could continuously feel energized, uplifted all the while. That's simply not the case. We are going to have these down, softer, quieter moments. So with that in mind, I have crafted a slightly shorter practice just to nestle into the earth, to get real heavy, and also to welcome in all the cozy comforts. It's a bit of a miserable day outside as well today as I'm recording, so wear your favourite jumper, all right? Get your favourite blanket, a cozy cushion, set yourself up a little bit of space, and yeah, we're going to settle in for a good time. I'm expecting we're going to spend the majority of this lying down as well, okay? So the way in which I've set up my props for us is I've folded my blanket across the middle of my mat. That's going to go across underneath my pelvis, underneath my hips, and then a cushion to support the back of my head. I kind of like having a blanket underneath my pelvis for that soft assist, that soft tucking of the tailbone under, to help lengthen and decompress across the lower back. So you might want to have a similar setup here. I've brought a couple of blocks in. You might not really need them, all right? They're just for a little bit of insurance, all right? So from here, we're going to come to lying down, and of course take a few moments to set up your props however you'd like them to be. And then of course, letting the back of the head land, letting those shoulder blades nestle in. And we might have a first few wriggles just to kind of really land into this space, all right? There might be a slight sway of the knees from side to side. You might kind of stretch one leg out, then the other. You might have a little roll up for the wrists, okay? But every movement is intentional here. Just inviting ourselves further and further into this little bit of time that's just for you, okay? And maybe you want to have the feet planted to the earth and then gradually let the knees knock together. If it feels comfortable to let the legs extend out ahead of you, then of course that's okay too. But then just slowly arrive here. Gradually allow the body to get heavier and heavier. And perhaps slowly starting to notice that gentle pull of gravity. Okay, feeling how you're being invited in, drawn in, welcomed in. So notice those points of contact beneath you. Notice how, again, the back of the head can land into that cushion. The shoulder blades, again, nestle into the earth, and you might have an extra little wriggle just to see if we can separate those shoulder blades even further. And then allowing the awareness to gradually travel down the length of your spine, noticing the vertebrae that are in contact with the mat, and of course there's going to be spaces that aren't necessarily in contact with the earth. That's okay too. And gradually the awareness comes down towards the hips, the pelvis, which is perhaps the heaviest part of the body here. And again, just letting it root, letting it anchor. And the awareness can gradually travel down to the length of the legs. And maybe you're quite happy, again, with the feet to the earth, knees knocking together, or the legs extended, but there's nowhere else we need to be. And there's nothing else we need to do. The legs have brought you to this space now. So again, let them rest. Let them become heavy. Let the toes even get real heavy here. And there might be a few moments where you just notice how your arms have naturally landed. Maybe you've taken the arms out down by your sides. And maybe that's allowing ourselves to take up a little bit of space, knowing that we don't need to make ourselves small in any way. Or perhaps your hands have landed, finding a place to rest on the belly or chest maybe. And of course, there's that comforting, affirming touch with that, maybe feeling as though we need to offer ourselves that reassurance. And again, we're just noticing these things. Nothing needs to be changed. There's no particular way in which we need to arrive here. But seeing how these small little details can actually tell us more of what it is that we're needing. So for instance, if you have the palms of the hands down, maybe that's indicating that we're needing a little bit of grounding today. Or if you have the palms of the hands turned up, perhaps that means we're open to what's possible, to whatever is offered. But again, nothing needs to change. And we don't have to arrive into our practice already feeling the most alert, present, or spacious we've ever been. Again, just feel. And maybe through those points of contact, that pull of gravity gradually gets that little bit stronger. And it's not the case in which that we're held down here or held back. Again, it's this real soft invitation. And perhaps we've had one of those days, one of those weeks, or one of those months. Again, if you're here with me in January, perhaps we have felt like we're on the struggle bus a little bit. But seeing that pull of gravity as that invitation, knowing that we don't have to continue struggling our way through. We don't need to strive for anything in particular. And again, there's no force, there's no fight. But again, soften into this. With every passing moment, the body just gets that little bit heavier. And we nestle in even more. And of course, as we feel into that downward pull, at the same time, the earth is going to rise up to greet you. Perhaps even imagine the arms of the earth gently wrapping around you now, holding you close and keeping you so safe, so warm. And of course, the earth greets you exactly as you are. And in the same way, let's meet ourselves exactly as we are. With that same kindness, that same compassion, that same respect. So if again there's a sensation here or a thought here that we perhaps like a little bit less, know that it's all welcome here. And you're worthy of this no matter what it is you're currently experiencing. And perhaps seeing if we can carry that kindness, that compassion, that respect with us, of course, throughout this practice, but beyond. Into the rest of your day, the rest of the week, month, or year. Again, moving with that softness. Moving with that compassion, moving with that respect. And perhaps now starting to feel like we have arrived, the physical body has gently landed here. And it still might be taking a little bit of time for our mind, our awareness, our breath to follow. But maybe we bring the awareness to the breath now. Notice each inhale, each exhale. And again, it's that same compassion as you start to breathe into the front, the back, the sides of the body, feeling that soft, subtle expansion. And of course, that exhale to let it go. And just really let the breath be easy. Again, no force. No expectation. Just let it ebb and flow. And continuing to build that soft, patient awareness, that observation. Noticing the different layers of your breath, its texture, its quality, its pace. And maybe the breath is whispering something particular to you right now. The breath has a beautiful way of, again, indicating more of what's needed, but the breath also has a beautiful way of delivering exactly what's needed in the moment without us always realizing. So maybe the breath is providing that little bit of assistance, and inviting you to land, soften and surrender here. And we're going to spend a few more moments again just as you are, and I'm going to invite you to perhaps add a slight count to your breath. See if we can bring the inhale, the exhale to be equal in length. So you're just going to inhale for that steady count of 4. And of course, exhale for that steady count of 4. And rather than counting those numbers for you, I'm going to invite you to set a pace that just makes sense. And letting those numbers just gradually tick over within your own mind. So again, allowing us to build some sort of focus, bringing our awareness to what really matters. And again, bringing that equal length throughout the inhale and the exhale is the only focus for now. Nothing else matters, just this. So again, letting those counts tick over. And if it feels much, then of course you can shorten it to 3 maybe. Or maybe increase it to 5, but 4 is kind of like that nice middle ground. Maybe as you continue through this, there might be that initial resistance, but over time, perhaps the breath becomes that little bit more fulfilling, a little bit more nourishing, a little bit more indulging. So continue to indulge in exactly that. And of course, there might be moments where the mind wanders off entirely. But bring it back to this pull of gravity, the ebb and flow of your breath. And as you continue to land, let everything else land here with you. No judgment, no expectation. Just awareness and breath coming together. And over time, you might start to pick out more little details. How it feels at the very top of that inhale, maybe that fullness. And perhaps also how it feels right at the end of that exhale. That fleeting moment of emptiness, that slight pause maybe. And again, you're just drifting through. One breath after the other. Letting the inhale gradually roll into the exhale. The exhale gradually roll into the inhale. And of course, it's these little spaces between. And so, again, the more time we spend here, the more we notice, the more we feel. And maybe there's little adjustments you want to make over time. But again, nothing needs to happen. And actually starting to really see that you are worthy of this rest. And perhaps our mind is wandering off to things that might be deemed somewhat more productive, more efficient. But this is perhaps the most productive thing you're going to do today. So again, take up space here. Let the breath take up space here, knowing that you're worthy of this and more. And maybe it's one final counted breath. If you've already let go of those counts, don't worry about it too much. But one more inhale for 4. One more exhale for 4. Beautiful. And then you can let those counts fall away. But that pattern, that pace, that might remain slightly. This slowness, this sense of ease, and perhaps holding on to that as best as we can. Now, of course, you're going to start to welcome little movements into the body, but perhaps these are micro movements to begin with. Just a little wriggle through the nose, maybe. A wriggle through the eyebrows. Releasing through that bottom jaw, perhaps letting the bottom jaw glide from left to right. And you might let the tongue run along your top teeth, your bottom teeth. Perhaps pressing the tongue into the inside of the cheeks. Also, like we can softly massage throughout the face and wake up to that beautiful face of yours, and maybe start to become a bit more expressive. You might lift the eyebrows up high. You might open the mouth nice and wide, like you're taking a nice big yawn. Go ahead. Again, you're in your own space here, so it doesn't matter what this looks like. Okay, beautiful. And that movement might gradually become a gentle turn of the head from side to side. Looking one way, then the other. Okay, bringing some movement into the neck and maybe slightly into the shoulders, even as you kind of lie down here upon the earth. Just see how it feels to let the shoulders have a little wriggle beneath you. And maybe the movement gradually travels down the length of your arms, just like wriggle through the fingertips, or maybe again further connecting to the body. You might give the belly, the chest a bit of a squeeze, or maybe start to roll through the wrists. And again, chances are there's a few clicks and cracks here. And that movement can gradually ripple down the length of the spine, the hips, the pelvis, down the length of the legs, all the way down to those toes. And the toes might circle around, ankles might roll, you might point and flex through the feet. Beautiful. And then just seeing what you're naturally drawn to. Maybe you're drawn to this nice big stretch on the earth, wanting to reach the arms up and above, pointing those toes out ahead. Beautiful. So the way in which we're going to move today is going to be softly energizing. Okay, so keeping this kind of restorative, kind, compassionate intention, but softly energizing the body. Okay, and taking our time over that. So from here, gradually start to circle the arms down, and then you might be drawn to curling yourself up into a little ball. So you might start to draw the thighs in towards the belly, the knees into the chest, and just give yourself a bit of a hug, a bit of a squeeze, maybe a slight sway from side to side. Beautiful. Okay. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. Beautiful. And then just gently from here, choosing a side. In fact, actually, let's all go towards our left-hand side. So you might release the feet down just so you can shuffle the hips over to the right side of the mat, and then roll onto the outer left hip. And maybe for a moment, use the hands to, again, make a little bit more of a pillow underneath you. Okay, let me make sure my mic isn't getting too covered here. All right. So you're reclining on your left-hand side. Beautiful. All right, and just allow yourself to, again, be heavy here. Okay. So again, we're not moving anywhere in a rush, and perhaps as you draw the thighs a little bit closer up towards the belly on that left side. Again, feeling or perhaps noticing how safe, how comforting this could be. Beautiful. And then from here, you're going to extend all 10 fingertips out towards your left-hand side. So you're going to have your back of the left hand down towards the ground, and your right hand is going to rest on top, all right? And you might be palm to palm or palm to the inside of the wrist. Doesn't matter so much, okay? Now feel free to be super lazy with this movement. All that happens is as you inhale, you're going to circle your right arm up and above. Let the fingertips drag along the earth as best as you can. And eventually that right arm is going to open out into a T-shape towards the right side of your space. Beautiful, well done. Okay, right shoulder blade might sink to the earth, but no worries if it doesn't quite. And then from here, just going to quite simply make your way back the way you came. Circle that right arm up and above, and again, letting the fingertips drag along the earth as best as you can, until you eventually come back palm to palm here. Beautiful. And then keep that going. Allow the movement to kind of match the breaths. Allow that opening to last for the entirety of that inhale. And then that gradual close, allow it to last for the entirety of that exhale. So maybe that count of 4 almost makes itself known again here, that steady pattern, that steady pace. And again, you're just letting the fingertips delicately drag along the earth. And there's this gorgeous moment where you almost let the bicep kind of brush past the ear, find that slight rotation through the shoulder. Heart space gets that little peak up to the sky. And then, of course, gradually making your way back. Beautiful. So you're taking yourself into a slight spinal twist, okay? But the twist is going to originate through the upper back, through those shoulders. And maybe, again, each time that right arm opens out, find that heaviness again here. Beautiful. All right. Now, you're perhaps going to take one more open, okay? So one more circle of that right arm up and above, all the way out into that T shape, and then just pause there, okay? Maybe there's a slight wriggle through the shoulders, open the arms out nice and wide, and then you might start to turn your gaze towards those right fingertips, okay? Slight oppositional twist here, okay? And then perhaps this sensation here is really subtle, that gentle ringing out of the spine, and this might be all that's needed, okay? And don't feel as though you have to do anything just yet, but just seeing whether the body is craving a little something more, okay? A slightly deeper twist, a slightly stronger ringing out of the spine maybe, okay? And if that's the case, you're going to keep that right knee diving across the body over to your left-hand side, but slowly start to extend your left toes towards the top of the mat, okay? It's going to encourage that right knee to, again, dive further across. There might be a few more clicks and cracks to the spine here. Beautiful, and you're going to stretch out through those left toes as much as feels comfortable, but again, no real force. And so you might start to feel more of a sensation, more of a stretch through the outer right hip, okay? Beautiful. And still breathing into the full capacity of the lungs. So breathing into the front, the back, the sides, the waist, but perhaps you're going to feel that right side body expand a little bit more so. But again, that heaviness continues. Lovely stuff. A few moments here. That pull of gravity keeping you rooted. And as you land into the ship, again, the eyes might close. We don't need all this external feedback, this external information. Just land. And you're going to take one more. Slow, steady breath in. Steady breath out. Okay. And then gradually unraveling. Now, perhaps the way in which you do that is steadily rolling that right hip down to the earth. That right foot might land also. You're going to gradually point the knees up to the sky, keep the arms out wide, and then just use the feet to help level out the hips, realign the spine. Beautiful. Okay. Now, the arms might start to lower down a little bit, but have a moment as you almost come back to how you started. And there might be a slight difference between the two sides of the body, okay? Maybe you want to have a little pelvic rock, a pelvic tilt forwards and backwards just to kind of massage that sacral space, the lower spine, down into the earth. But again, notice these slight differences here and there, okay? Then, of course, we're going to drift that across to the other side. So you might have a little shuffle of the hips over to the left side of the mat. And then you're going to gradually roll towards your right-hand side, okay? So again, take your time with it, beautiful. Making as many little adjustments as you go, and perhaps making a little pillow out of the hands for the head to rest on. But either way, letting the head rest down into that cushion. And you're going to come here with the knees and ankles relatively stacked. So again, you're curled up into this fetal position. And again, notice the safety, the security, all right? Notice how much you can nestle into this without a care in the world. Nothing else matters, just your own comfort. And as you move through this in a moment or so, you're really seeing if we can treat the body, treat ourselves as our most prized, treasured possession. And really you are, okay? But sometimes we place that value, that worth in other materialistic things. Let's place that value, that worth into this body. And as you move through this in this real soft, compassionate way, know that you are your most treasured possession here. All right. So you're going to start to extend all 10 fingertips out towards your right-hand side. And again, you might be palm to palm or palm to the inside of the wrist. And it's that same movement. You're going to circle this left arm up and above. So again, bicep brushing past the ear. Keep the fingertips in contact with the earth as best as you can. Notice that stretch across the chest. Notice that sinking of that left shoulder blade down to the earth as your left arm opens out to that left-hand side. Then again, there might be a slight pause before you ultimately make your way back the way you came, circling that left arm up and above. Beautiful. And then again, coming back, palm to palm. And keep this going, all right? And again, that opening lasting for the entirety of that inhale. And again, that closing lasting for the entirety of this exhale. Beautiful. And we're taking some really simple movements here, okay? And sometimes these simple movements, again, might still feel just as challenging. The mind might be wandering off and there might be this sense of urgency, okay? This temptation to move a little bit more quickly through this. But keep giving yourself that permission to slow it right down. Beautiful. Okay, and perhaps notice what else is offered to you. Notice other sensations that are available to you. The texture beneath your fingertips. Maybe you're moving along carpet or hardwood floors. How soft is the texture beneath you, okay? Beautiful. Okay, so really diving into all the senses, all right? Maybe there's other scents, smells. Maybe there's other things you can hear. The sound of your own breath as you inhale and exhale. Beautiful. And again, there's so much offered to us in these moments of simplicity. And really, there's so much offered to us in every single moment throughout the entirety of our day. But we're so busy just going through the motions that we forget or we miss out on these things. So again, just drift your way through and take it all in. Beautiful, really well done. Okay, you're going to have one more moment to open it out into that twist. So again, take your time as you eventually circle that left arm up and above. Okay, and again, you're going to bring that left arm out into that T shape. And if it feels comfortable to do so, let the left shoulder blade sink in, and you might turn your gaze to look to that left-hand side. Slight oppositional twist here, beautiful. Again, let that heaviness take over. What happens if we let go perhaps that 1% more or 5% more or 10% more? What happens if we continuously give ourselves that permission over and over again to surrender? Beautiful. And then again, we might notice those little cravings indicating that we might want that deeper twist. But again, we're not rushing to get there. We don't need to be continuously striving for more. We don't have to always be doing our absolute most. So maybe giving ourselves that permission to actually take a step back and actually just notice this subtlety, this simplicity. But again, if you are craving that stronger stretch, keep that left knee diving across the body over to the right. You're going to start to extend that right leg towards the top of the mat out ahead of you, allowing that left knee to dive a little bit more heavily over to that right-hand side. That left knee still doesn't need to come down to the earth. It might be hovering in space, and maybe that's where a block, or you might fold up your blanket and bring it underneath the left knee on that right side. That's okay too. So there's always space, there's always opportunity to adjust. But again, nothing needs to be really specific here, okay? We don't need to overanalyze these moments. Again, we're just softening into them as best as we can. And again, a few moments in this wringing out of the spine. Nice, really well done. Okay. And then again, taking that slow, steady breath in. Steady breath out. And then, of course, taking our time as we gradually unravel. So take your time as you roll that left hip down towards the earth. You use that left foot to the mat to fold that right knee in. So you're going to use the feet to just level out the hips, realign the spine. Beautiful. And again, you might slowly bring the arms further down. Okay. Now again, just bringing it back to center. Maybe the body feels a little bit more equal. The sides of the body feel a little bit more equal, a little bit more balanced. But still having a moment to again meet yourself exactly as you are. Notice your energy now, notice breath as it is now, whether anything shifted, changed, beautiful. And then you're going to have a few moments where you're going to firmly plant the feet down to the earth, maybe walking the heels feet a little bit closer towards your bum. Knees pointing up to the sky, arms down by your side. So again, soft energizing movements here. You're going to take a big breath in. As you exhale, you're going to press down to the hands and feet, start to tuck the tailbone under, engaging through the back body now as you start to rise the hips up to the sky. So there's that squeeze through the glutes, there's that lengthening across the front of the hips, nice. And then as you exhale, slowly rolling it down bone by bone, again treating yourself like your most prized possession as the body gradually comes back down to earth. Beautiful. Now you're going to take that a couple more times and you might repeat this exactly as it is, right? Beautiful. That inhale to rise up. And then that exhale to slowly roll it down, okay? But if it feels okay to do so, maybe adding in the arms. So as you rise the hips up to the sky, you might also sweep the arms forwards and up, and then gradually take the fingertips to reach up and above back behind you. Nice, and an extra squeeze across the glutes. And as you roll down to the spine, Arms can softly lower here as well. Beautiful. And again, floating your way through this is that inhale to rise the hips up to the sky, energy reaching out through those fingertips. And then exhale to again slowly roll it all the way back down. Beautiful. Maybe just taking one more here. That inhale to rise it up. And of course, that exhale to slowly roll it down. Beautiful. So again, just a little bit of engagement there, engaging through the back body, the glutes, the hamstrings. Nice. Now, as you land, curl yourself up again into that little ball. Take a slight sway from side to side. Maybe even finding a bit of a circular motion through the knees if you'd like, finding some fluidity within that hip space. Again, if you feel drawn to that, that's okay. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. And then from here, let's just gently choose the side, the left or the right now. You're going to roll towards that one side. And again, you can take another little pause in that fetal position, but then use your hands to help you to now rise up to a comfortable seat. Okay, nice. I'm going to have a moment or so coming to cross-legged. And again, maybe you want to keep this blanket underneath you. So there's a slight elevation of the hips, or maybe you want to use your cushion underneath you now, just so we can feel like we can rise up nice and tall, but not in a way that needs to be kind of super exaggerated. We don't need to kind of suddenly sit to any kind of attention. We can softly rise, all right? And then from here, maybe palms to hands down to the knees. Let those shoulders roll back and down. Okay, take a big breath in. Big breath out. See how it feels to be slightly lifted away from the earth, and again, honor your energy. So always having these moments where we're just checking in. Final few things I'm going to invite us to move through here. You're going to take a big breath in and sweep the arms wide and up to the sky. Grow tall, tall, tall. Energy reaching out to the fingertips. Maybe have an extra little flourish up through the wrists. And then as you exhale, you're going to circle your left arm back, right arm coming down and across towards your left knee. You're going to arrive it into a twist. Beautiful. So again, softly energizing through these spaces. Have a breath in here. But as you exhale, you're going to unravel slightly. I'm going to invite you to kind of sink through the spine and yes, slump a little bit here. But as you inhale, you're going to rise back up into that twist. Beautiful. Exhale, go again. Softly unravel, sink, slump. Beautiful. And then inhale, rise back up into that twist. Maybe just a couple more times through this, seeing if there's an extra little bit more wriggle room. Beautiful. Inhale again, rising it all the way up. Okay, have one final exhale to slump, to soften. And then inhale to again rise it up into that twist. And maybe have a little glance back behind you. Beautiful. Okay, pause for that full breath in. And that full breath out. Okay, and as you inhale, we're going to gradually unravel. Let's take the fingertips all the way back up to the sky. And again, notice that slight difference with the size of the waist. Maybe again, we can rise up a little bit taller. And exactly the same to the opposite side. You're going to circle that right arm back, left arm coming down and across, finding that right knee, right fingertips maybe kind of landing down to the earth. And again, we're rising tall into the twist to begin with. Have a breath in. And then again, exhale, sink, soften, surrender. Beautiful. Inhale, rise. It's that delicious combination of both. So we're offering ourselves these moments where again, we can completely soften, completely slump, and then seeing how it feels to rise again. And that's all our practice is. It's all our days are. It's this continuous rise and fall, twist and turn all the while. Beautiful. And again, just allowing ourselves to move, exist alongside that natural rhythm, that natural pattern of all things. Okay, perhaps one more time. Inhale to rise up. Exhale to soften, to surrender. Okay. And then one final inhale to rise up into that twist. Pause for a moment, maybe a little glance back behind you. Beautiful. Okay. And then again, you're going to steadily unravel and then have one final big reach of the fingertips up towards the sky. Grow tall, little lift of the chin maybe. And then as you exhale, maybe take a little circle of the arms back and down, sneak a little openness across the heart space. And then I'm going to invite you to bring one hand to heart, one hand to belly. Doesn't matter which way around you go, just letting everything land. All right. And again, checking in. Perhaps looking back over that little journey our practice took us through, how we started reclined along the earth, giving into that pull of gravity. And notice where you are now. ever so slightly lifted, rising just that little bit up to the sky, but again with that soft, compassionate intention. And perhaps holding on to that intention as best you can as you then continue to move throughout the rest of the day, no matter how it unfolds, no matter what it might bring you. To keep this compassion, this kindness, this respect. And you're just going to quite simply have a slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. One more time, big breath in. Big breath out. All right. Let the palms of the hands come together in front of the heart space, and of course, let's seal the practice as we always do with our final blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you at night. May the rain wash away your worries. And may the breeze blow new strength throughout your being. And may you walk through the world knowing its beauty all the days of your life. And with that, we take a little bow. Beautiful. And of course, taking our time as we slowly start to rise and flutter those eyelashes back open, welcoming yourselves back into your cozy space. And again, just have a moment to feel it into the body, have a little shrug through those shoulders, tilt the head from side to side, knowing that again, we don't need to suddenly rush back into our day. Take your time, move softly, move with that compassion, and yeah, just trust that everything is going to fall into place. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me, loves. I'll, of course, see you next time with another lovely little practice for you. All right, lots of love. Mwah. Bye.